Hello. I'm Jessica Yvonne, your book bae, coming on for a quick book chat today. I hope this video finds you well. So I was headed home and I have not gotten a chance to come on here and discuss the last 3 books I have read. And so I decided, let me just stop and do it right now while I am leaving the grocery store. Because once I get in the house and get to cooking and being a mother, then this will probably get put on the back burner again. So anyway, I've been in my summer reading bag. I've been wanting to feel summery, and so with that I have been reading summer books, summer themed books. So the first book that I was reading, that I wrapped up maybe 2 weeks ago, maybe 3, is called Summer Sister by Judy Blume. And I must say I thoroughly enjoyed this book. It came out quite some time. Apparently this is a re-release, the new cover, which this is still old as well, because it came out, I think, in the 90s possibly. Let me see if it tells me on this page here. It came out initially in 1998 and again looks like in 2023. So yeah, the initial date it came out was in the 90s. So this book here, and let me just give you a little bit of the synopsis off the back. It says, in the summer of 1977, Victoria Leonard's world changes forever when Caitlin Summers chooses her as a friend. Dazzling, reckless, Caitlin welcomes Vix into the heart of her sprawling, eccentric family, opening doors to a world of unimaginable privilege, sweeping her away to vacations on Martha's Vineyard, an enchanting island where 2 friends become summer sisters. I'm not gonna lie, the funny thing is, I enjoyed it way more than I thought I would, because Judy Blume, I normally think of her as an author from my childhood, but I will say that when I saw the book last year, I was excited to pick it up. I just never got around to it, and I'm happy I read it when I read it. So for starters, I saw that in the reviews some people complained about sexualizing children. That is not how I took it, but I do want to warn you that if you pick this book up, that there is a part where 2 very young ladies, the Summer Sisters, are exploring each other's bodies, and I think there may be 11 or 12. So if you find that triggering, then you may not want to pick the book up. I did not find it triggering, but like I said, I did notice that in some of the reviews, some people were upset about that part. It wasn't a big portion of the story, but it was a part of the story, and you know, people they weren't happy about it. So anyway, let me give you a few of my thoughts on the book. I wrote them down so I wouldn't forget. So it's a 404 pages. The main characters, or the Summer Sisters, was Victoria, which is, they call her Vix, and Caitlin, who is the daughter or the friend that has the home in Martha's Vineyard. Her parents divorced, and her father had a home there on the vineyard and her mom stayed elsewhere. So for summers, she would go to Martha's Vineyard to live with her dad, and just vacation there because that was his home. Now the story is told from multiple viewpoints, which is really interesting because they introduce Grandma Dorsey, and of course they introduce also Caitlin's mom and Caitlin's dad, and then Caitlin's siblings, and then in the same respect they also do the same thing for Caitlin and her mom and her sibling, and then of course the dad, his community, some of them, and then his new wife in the future. So there are a lot of people being introduced, and we're seeing it from these various POVs. And even when Vix goes off to school, some of those people are introduced into the book, and they have a POV as well. But the way she does it, it doesn't seem, it's not confusing. She does it in such a great way that it still flows, and it's nice to see, you know, different perspectives from different people and how they're interpreting different things, even boyfriends. And yeah, it's an interesting perspective. Even the children have a voice. So anyway, the mom works for a countess, which when I say the mom, I'm talking about Vix's mom. I loved in the book though where they said, or where I felt as if people underestimate the value of being intellectually stimulating. I think sometimes people think looks are enough, and it is not. It is a very attractive trait to be intellectually stimulating. In this book, soulmates equaled the Summer sisters' friendship. I thought that was an interesting perspective because normally people think of soulmates as a romantic love, not as a friendship love. But even I can vouch for my friendships have surpassed any romantic relationship so far in my life. So it does feel as if friendships does equal and can equal soulmates, and not just be seen in a romantic perspective. It talks about, or to me it touches on codependency, misplaced jealousy. It shows the ebbs and flows of friendship, and it ended off on a cliffhanger really to me. And I wondered, would she come back with a part 2? Now this takes place in, like, again, on Martha's Vineyard in 1977. I thought it was interesting that sometimes we can forget that we are carrying things on our shoulders that we have no business carrying. Our parents, things, our siblings, conditions, or heartbreak. In addition to our own life, it can be overwhelming. And it felt like that's what one of the characters, Victoria, was doing, was carrying the weight of the world on her shoulders as a kid. I would dare say, for a moment there, it seemed as if she was a people pleaser at the beginning. But I like that she quickly began to outgrow that, because she saw that even when she was doing everything that people wanted her to do, that still wasn't making everyone happy. I thought she had, when I say I thought she, I mean Judy Blume had great character development. It was interesting also to see in this book, Tawny, that is Victoria's mom, that sometimes our own parents can intentionally block our progress. Sometimes there can be jealousy when you are a person that think outside the box, and you have a certain parent that may not really like that. I noticed that in Victoria's case, her mom did not really push that, but her dad did encourage her to be different and think outside the box. I loved in the book also how on one part, which is the contest that Victoria's mom works for, she trips me out because she says in here, "Thank God I don't have a husband," because Tawny was having to, you know, run things by her husband before she did certain things. And I thought that was interesting that she had that perspective even in the 70s, that there's certain areas where having a partner in life can sometimes change your trajectory and possibly hold you back on things you are trying to achieve. In the book here as well, it also references that friends last longer than lovers. And another highlight, I won't share that one. That goes to detail. But anyway, yes, great book. I would highly recommend if you're in the mood for a beach read. It was very atmospheric. The author was very detailed, and you could literally see yourself on the beach with these young ladies as they're growing, because they continue to meet at the beach each and every year, and you'll see the trajectory of their lives from when they met at the age of 12 all the way to they are in their 20s. So it's interesting to see how the relationship evolves, and also see how one person goes off to college and another person chooses a different path. And although they have all the access to all the things, they value something totally different. So yeah, would highly recommend. The next book I read was called Black Hamptons by Carl Weber. This is really a great read. I actually read part 1 and part 2, which is also Black Hamptons gentrification. So you can guess what this is pointing or talking about in this book. Well, excuse me, let me share a little bit on the back. Well, on the inside apparently. So the main characters here are Carolyn Britton. She is the owner of Amistad Bank. This is a black beach that is, I believe, in Sag Harbor. She is the supreme puppet master. She is the matriarch, and Miss Carolyn Britton is vindictive. She has her sons, Martin and Malcolm. They are brothers. Martin is the personality, Malcolm is the smart. And then you have some people that just bought a beach home there. So they're more or less considered to be outsiders at this Black Hamptons. And this is Anthony Johnson in Sydney. He is a tech guru, Anthony is, and that's how he's made his millions. There is a police sergeant that moves to the community with his son, and he's learning the ins and outs of the Black Hamptons, that just because you're a police officer doesn't mean much here. These people, Carolyn, the Britons, they have everyone in their pocket. They own a bank, so they can make or break or decide if you get a loan or you don't get a loan if you decide to bank with them. If you have your money tied up with them, they can do some things. So he's quickly learning, him and his son Peter, that although this is the Black Hamptons, it is the Black elite, and certain people expect you to stay in your place. Now, I will say, I guess when you are a person that lives on the beach, you don't really, I won't say you don't value the beauty of it, but I think you probably get so used to it that you don't really, it's nothing to you. You don't really discuss it. So to me, that was one thing about the book. It wasn't as descriptive with those. I mean, besides them going to their yachts and things of that nature, it wasn't very descriptive about the beach. Yeah, it was. I don't remember it being very descriptive, but you could tell the ones that were visiting, seems like they kind of took their surroundings in more so than the people that actually live there year round on the beach. And we have all kind of drama going on in this book. You know, the mess was messing. And if I'm being honest, sometimes I was disappointed of the crab in the barrel mindset of, you know, others that look like us trying to pull the other one down, thinking that they're not worthy or don't have the right pedigree or they're not deserving. I didn't like that part. I know that that is a realistic part, that in reality, but I did not like it. Now, if you love mess, this is full of it. There is a little bit of self-harm mentioned in this book, so that may trigger some people. I think I was looking more for a relaxing time, not for a messy time. And I got more mess than I realized was coming to me here. I'm trying to think what else. I think that's about it. Now, one thing I will say that I loved in here, I love that at the end, and this is, you know, not a big part of the storyline, but how Carolyn Britton, she is in her book room, her library, and she calls it her sanctuary. I really love that, because that to me is what a book room would feel like. It's like a sanctuary. That wraps up part one. Part two is a continuation of the Britons and the sergeant and Sydney and Anthony and Leslie, who is Carolyn's niece, and she's also a well-known real estate agent, along with Jeff, who is her husband. And then we learn about Moses in part 2, which is Carolyn Britton's husband, who has been away due to something that happened that was underhandedness at the bank that you would read about in detail here. But yes, although there was a lot of mess and drama, I will say by the end of book 2, I wanted more, and it left off on a cliffhanger. So I'm hoping that part 3 is on its way. To me, again, in part 2, it touched on forbidden love. It feels like all business, very little play to me, which makes for pent up explosive energy. There were some blow ups that I didn't see coming in part 2. Love triangles, betrayal, the past coming back to haunt you, heartbreak. And I loved how in this book that when people try to come in to take the Blackhamptons, and not, I won't even say people, a person. There was already a person that had a property there that was white. I loved how they put all of, you know, their mess aside with each other to come together to try to figure out how to keep and maintain the Blackhamptons that they had come to love. Because in part 1, they talk about like the Brittons, how their parents were, and maybe their grandparents were like the founders of this beach, and some of the other neighbors, like Everett, I think some of his parents were also the founders. So that's kind of discussed and touched on in this one. Also, this book has been turned into a BET original miniseries. So I would really love to see the miniseries. I'm not sure if it ends off the way part 2 did, because part 2 has a cliffhanger. So now I'm concerned about watching the series just yet, because I don't want it to ruin if there's going to be a part 3 book. So we shall see. But yes, guys, I really, really, really enjoy all 3 of those books. Sorry if this was kind of all over the place. It seems like people were coming out kind of distracting me as I was speaking to you guys. And I'm about to head into the house so I can cook dinner and get ready for the work day tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed this quick review on those 3 books. They were really, really amazing books. I really enjoyed them. With everything going on in the world, it was nice to escape to Martha's Vineyard with the girls, with the Summer Sisters, and then again with Carl Weber's Blackhamptons book, and be in their mess and not in the worldly mess that's taking place for all of us here. So anyway, I hope you guys have an amazing Thursday and take care. I will see you guys again. I currently picked up this other book. I haven't really got into it just yet, but I'm looking at either Eloquent Rage by Brittany Cooper or The Men We Reap by Jasmine Ward. I know she has a new book out, but I have this on my shelf and I've never read it before, so I want to look into what this is about. And then I always hear Brittany Cooper. She is a constant guest on Brittany Packard's podcast, and I always love to hear her speak prior. So that's the book I have on my shelf that I never got around to. And it's so interesting. A guy was asking me about my thoughts on being a feminist, and I told him, to me, it's just being pro-woman. But for some reason, he had an idea of a lot of negative things associated with it, apparently. I don't know. I guess women don't need men, or feminists are gay, or whatever. He just had a lot of interesting ideas about it that were inaccurate. So when I saw I had that book, I said, you know what, I'm gonna sit down and read this, because I've had it on my shelf for some time and I'm interested in reading it, because I could always learn something new. And also, like I said, I love to watch and listen to Brittney Cooper speak. She is such a powerful voice, and I love to hear smart people speak and get their thoughts on various things and topics, and she is one of those smart women. So yeah, guys, I'm gonna head on in. I hope you guys have an amazing Thursday. Take care. I wish you guys nothing but inner peace, positivity, and empowerment, and I will see you guys again soon. Bye.